Located to the southeast of Asia, Vietnam Sea is part of the immense Pacific Ocean. The country is even compared to a hammock hooking the great continent of Asia on one side, and the other side is the vast ocean. Vietnam's sea coast stretches more than 3,200 kilometers from the northernmost cape of Sa Vi to the southern tip of Ha Tien in Kiên Giang province. The sea and east coastal areas harbor millions of people who live on fishing, subject to the favor or reach of the ocean. According to a legend on the origin of Vietnam, from a pouch of 100 eggs, 50 people who were hatched from fairy ogres' eggs went up to forests, while the other 50 headed for the ocean to settle. The feeling of fellow country people, a typical cultural feature of Vietnam, can be found in the roof of the communal house in Charcoal Beach as an example. The communal house represents the core echoing the past, which nurtures the spiritual life of ancient Vietnamese people wherever they were, be it in jungles or the ocean. The horizontal lacquered board is engraved with characters expressing fishing people's aspirations for a life of sustainability. The Ca Long River, which runs through China's Dong Sinh and Vietnam's Móng Cái town, links trade between the two countries. The vigorous growth of Móng Cái is in couple with the growth in trade and friendship between the two fraternal friendly countries. From 3 million up to 500 million years ago, rocks and stones of different shapes and sizes created Ha Long Bay alongside the formation of the universe. Ha Long Bay has been twice recognized by UNESCO as a Natural World Heritage Site. Limestone mountains of the Dong Chieu Arch and Gum River Arch running northeast, down and below the sea have given birth to Ha Long Bay of exceptional values in culture, aesthetics, geology, biology and economy. More than 7 centuries ago, as a frontline fortress defending the nation's sea to the northeast, Vân Đồn was also important and brisk harbor during the Trần Dynasty, an important gateway for foreign merchant ships to come and trade in Vietnam. The peaceful bay has given rise to the settlement of fishing boats by many people from one generation to another who develop common virtues of honesty, diligence and hospitality. Such virtues are like gemstones that have been condensed from winds and waves of the ocean. The Trần Dynasty wrote many glorious pages for the nation. It all started with fishing people in Nam Định province, where the Chen dynasty made many resounding merits in the Northeast Sea waters. At present, in the stretch of land along the Bai to Long Beach, succeeding generations have established an imposing temple dedicated to the feats of arms of a general, Trần Quốc Tàng, son of Generalissimo Trần Quốc Tuấn, who led the people and army of Đại Việt to defeat 3 times the Mongol troops in the 13th century. Out there in the windy open sea, Bạch Long Vĩ Island stays imposing as part of Vietnam's territory, where a lighthouse never stops shining every night, asserting the country's continental shelf. Vietnam's sea and its coastal areas are home to legends and feats of arms which are primarily linked to the people's love for nature. Vietnamese people enjoy leading their lives amidst the vast nature of sky and the ocean. They seem to comprehend the boundless stories from the sea and hence become more benevolent and altruistic. Vietnam Sea and its coast contain great potential to develop tourism. Imprinted with an aspiration of turning Vietnam into a destination of the new millennium, the country has invested extensively in building and restoring marine tourist sites, upgrading hotels, and diversifying recreational sites. While exploring nature, people try to protect environmental sustainability, retaining the value and natural settings of their marine areas. Vietnam Sea combines harmoniously people's creativity and nature's diversity. Tourists to Vietnam enjoy the country's unique food culture with cuisine served from products of the Northern Sea. Tourists follow trips to explore places which are rated as World Heritage Sites. People always create a harmonious natural setting. An unspoiled wildlife is still found in islands covered with luxuriant vegetation of the tropics. An ideal natural setting of closeness and perfect harmony remains as a reality. 2,000 islands and islets scattering in an area of more than 1,500 square kilometers with various shapes and sizes have created breathtakingly beautiful bay in the region. Thousands of years have elapsed with the sea undergoing drastic changes. The formulation of coastal plain areas has given rise to the establishment of residential areas and their own culture, the wet rice civilization. That culture has found in Buddhism nobility and benevolence as reflected in famous pagodas along Vietnam's coasts. The wet rice civilization is reflected in popular folk games in Vietnam's villages. Folk games highlight local people's lifestyle, which is full of friendliness and hospitality. From the Red River Delta province of Thái Bình to central provinces, there is imminent sight of receding sea. Along this process, areas of fertile land have been reclaimed. Salinity has lessened, turning these areas into rice and sedge fields. It's hard to imagine that the river mouth of Chinh Dai was once a cursed place where strong winds and waves made it hard to bypassing boats and ships. Legend has it that a man named La paid respect to the king of Đại Việt by writing a blessed character meaning genie on a rock cliff. The magic word had prevented strong winds and waves to enable the king's boat to pass the area to chase enemies. Reclaiming land from the sea has been a historical reality, and the trailblazer in this undertaking to expand the nation was Nguyễn Công Trứ. The further land reaches out to sea, the more diverse coastal ecology becomes. People coexist and nurture that ecological area while continuing the quest of the vast sea. The sea has become the test of people's intelligence and courage, who become benevolent and optimistic before the sea. Vietnamese people always know how and where to seek the best lifestyle and behavior to mingle well with nature. The sea is generous and offers plenty of things if we know how to coexist. The investment in coastal marine culture is one hopeful method of tapping marine resources. Fish and shrimp raising by rafts in coastal areas helps conserve the coastal ecology while offering a source of high-value export products for Vietnam. maritime products from North Vietnam sea areas have contributed significantly to the total national maritime export revenue. The immense sea would be lonely without signs of ships and boats. The boat and the sea have become poetical symbols, and the aspiration to conquer the sea is reflected through the launch of big ships into open seas. The sea itself, its coast and people, together have established a typical marine lifestyle which contains all aspirations, dreams, courage and wisdom. Any sea area is linked to chanting melodies, alternate singing for young people to exchange love vows, and to the singing of concerted efforts and combined strength, as well as songs in praise of the feelings of sea and people felt for each other.
Gặp nhau trên quảng tình sông này có cho chung mẹ chung thầy tình không em
em cho chung mẹ mà chung thầy anh sang cầm lại thuyền này mà cho
Located in the coastal district of Nga Sơn in Thanh Hóa province, Tu Thức Cave, previously known as Big Dao Cave, is linked to the love story of a man called Tu Thức who was married to a fairy. The Tu Thức Cave is narrow at the entrance and becomes more spacious inside. This was where feudal scholar Lê Quý Đôn visited and wrote a poem on the cave's rock walls. The Thức Cave boasts many beautiful stalactites and stalagmites that sound like a bell or gong from a tap. National Road Number 10 has been widened in recent years to link coastal areas including Hải Phòng Port City, Quảng Ninh, Taiping and Nam Định provinces. Cát Bi Airport has been upgraded and modern ports rebuilt. The sea and its coastal areas are home to abundant economic resources. They are also attractive tourist sites which are receiving extensive investment.